Okay, this is a final task, assignment 1, task 3, M1. Okay, so what we're going to ask you to do is to take part in a forum. So that's an electronic forum where you post pretty much like Facebook, in which you assess the standards of working conditions and the workplace policies of a lecturer within SGS College. You can use your own observations, interviews with staff, and extracts of the college's health and safety policy provided by your lecturer. You will need to provide a set of notes that make reference to all areas of the unit content as outlined below. What I'll do, will probably give you a little task to assess the standard of workplace conditions, and I'll explain what we've done. Okay. So basically, who can help me? You can ask your lecturer. We will give you a task just to assess what's going on in the lecturer's general workplace conditions. It's a fairly straightforward one, which shouldn't take too long. On the video, you can ask questions to me about fire policy. What I would do is, could you just put the comment on below on the YouTube page so I don't have to paste it more than once. You can also ask me questions about incidents and logs, because occasionally I'm the duty manager, so I have to log things, which I'm happy to write about. You can also use your own observations. That can really link in from task 2 as well. So you can bring in a lot of what you did for task 2 in this bit. I've also given you some health and safety policy extracts from the actual document. I haven't given it you all, but I've given you some of it. So I've given you a bit about the science department, which is worth looking at because obviously it's more dangerous than the normal bits, and the general gist of what's in the health and safety policy. A lot of it links back to the 1974 policy, so you can, which is the original one. Also, you've got the health and safety chapter textbook, which I put on there as well, which will basically cover a large amount of the content that we looked at before. So overall, you can ask your lecturer. On the video, you can ask me. Even if I'm not teaching you, I will reply to it. And you can use your own observations as well from assignment 2. And also 2 sections there, so the health and safety policy and the health and safety chapter. So, implementation in the workplace. That is basically about what's going on in the workplace, how health and safety policy is implemented. So that could be to do with how risk assessments are done. For example, trips, you could ask your lecturer about that. You could also ask him about the classrooms if that's got a risk assessment. You could also look at if you have students with certain needs as well. Things like evacuation plans. There's lots of things you can ask your lecturer about implementation in the workplace. You could also look, for example, if you're in an IT room, it might be worth looking at the wiring in place. For example, if you've got cable ties, really basic stuff like where the desk is sat and things like that. There's a lot to go on. So it could be to do with the chair backs, it could be to do with the height of the monitors, where it sits. It's a lot. Legal requirements. You've talked about them before. What you need to do is basically see, are those legal requirements being fed through. I would have thought this bit would be really good for your, in general, this would be really good bit of research which you've done in the previous task 1 that you can really bring through here. So, for example, you could talk about the fact that everyone needs to be trained for manual handling operations if they're dealing with it. You also need to, there's lots of other little bits and bobs which you can use. Control of substance is maybe worth looking at the college policy on that, which I've included. Generally, the Health and Safety at Work Act 1974. That covers a lot of things, which you can make very explicit. Reporting injuries, disease, dangerous occurrence regulations. There's a lot in the actual documents which you can use, and also you can post and ask me a question on Facebook and I should be able to answer most of it. I might not be able to answer all of it. Workplace policies for job roles. Again, That's some basics there, and you can ask your lecturer as well. Reporting procedures. You can ask a lecturer, and you can also post a question on YouTube, and I'll try and answer it. The role that I sometimes carry out is only quite limited, but it deals with a lot of the basic instances. So, for example, if a fight breaks out on college campus, I have a duty of recording things in instance. Harmful working practices. You can check the policy and look at the science section. It does have little bits about that. Kosh, it's worth having a look at. The key personnel responsible for health and safety. This is everyone, but the overall controller is the actual principal. We used to have a health and safety officer, but they were made redundant. But the actual overall responsibility is the principal, but day-to-day operations are the members of staff. Organising your own work area. Might be worth having a look in the office and see how we work and see what's there. Also looking in the classrooms as well. It might be worth having a look. Right, this is an example post. Obviously, this is me who's written it. First bit is basically a post from the brief, like how to lay it out and what to do. Obviously, this is me writing. This is what I'd expect you to, similar kind of thing that you would write. The second bit is a comment from another person, so I said Anna. So I said she's made a really good point about repetitive strain injuries and problems that lecturers face in that way. It's worth definitely having a look at the second bit, so you need to make sure you comment from someone else. So for example, if I was writing and Dave made a comment, I shouldn't be able to make it. I should basically say what I've learned from him and post it in the same post. That way it's telling me as an assessor I haven't just looked at one thing, I've looked at the whole. And that's what you want to do. We want you to look at everything, but we want to say that you've learned from other people. So basically, this is my contribution in the group. So by commenting about another person, it's saying I have learned this from X, Y, and Z. Basically, how to post. You click on where you want to post. Your lecturer will divide you into two groups. That way, you'll all be able to post a lot. So this is the second year, so I've put their posts up at one side. So Group 1, Team A, Team B, Group 2, Team A, Team B, and they go and click on their little bit that they need to do. Your lecturer will keep a record of which group you're in, and they will post it onto Moodle for you. That way it makes it nice and simple. Okay, then you click on the comments box and enter it, so that's what I did. Click on reply, and then you click on the comments box and just post it as a message. And then the next person clicks on reply, and so forth and so forth. So overall, you need to make sure that you post twice, and each post includes a comment from another lecturer. You should also try and submit your notes with task 1 and 2. We'll give you an exercise to do, and that should help you with constructing task 3. It should be quite a basic exercise, which is basically just looking at the dangers that lecturers face, and then you can ask some questions with that. It will be very simple and straightforward, and it shouldn't require any time. It shouldn't require too much time in a class anyway. It will give you about 3 weeks to do all 3 tasks. They are very simple, but you will need to spend a bit of time. I hope you found it useful. Thanks.